What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Lamonts G and Custom Knives Show, the #3 podcast. I am out of shape, dude. They say when you can't walk to your mailbox and back without giving out a breath, you need to do something about it. And I have got to do something about this. I didn't walk to my mailbox. I walked to the back to grab something to drink. Oh, my goodness. But anyway, welcome. Welcome. I have just a few things to say today on this edition. For the first time, probably in my lifetime, I know in recent years, I've heard different entities around the world state a basic fact that we in the conservative movement that live conservative lifestyles already knew, been talking about it for years, screaming it from the top of our lungs. But for the first time, yesterday and this morning, I heard U.S. congresspeople and overseas, how can you put it, high profile people in government or from overseas say this basic thing: the most dangerous entity to the United States of America and to the civilized world actually is the two most dangerous entities. It's the Democratic Party and the liberal media. When I heard the congressman, and I want to say it's Congressman Cotton out of Arkansas, I hope I got that right. He stated that the two most dangerous entities to this country and to our safety and security is the Democratic Party and the liberal media. I heard two other entities, and I want to say one may have been from Australia, and the other one may have been from somewhere in Europe. I can't remember. This was yesterday, but they all said in so many words that the Democratic Party is a danger to the safety and security of individuals worldwide. And that's absolute fact. We've been screaming that from the top of our lungs, man. We have been saying that, and I mean we, the conservative-minded people, the people who consider ourselves conservatives, people who consider ourselves on the right side of things, we have been saying this now. In terms of what Mr. Cotton was talking about, Senator Cotton, the Democratic Party is holding money hostage from TSA and Homeland Security. Matter of fact, this morning on the way over the mountain, I heard that 30 to 40 some odd TSA agents has quit countrywide. I want you to think about that. I don't fly. I don't use too much public transportation, whether it be rail, airplane, whatever. I don't use any at all. If I got to get to point A to point B, I'm going to get there myself, walk, drive, something. But you got a lot of people who depend on just buying an airplane ticket, going to this city, flying back to another city, etc. They depend on that. And you got this party basically holding, if I'm not mistaken, I think everything is passed out of the House. So this is just the Senate. And boy, we got some buffoons in the Senate on both sides, not just Democrat. On both sides, we got some buffoons in the Senate. But they're basically going to hold that hostage. Because, see, the big, beautiful bill passed, so a lot of these agencies and things are going to be funded for the next 2-3 years. That's no problem. But Homeland Security and TSA is, I don't know how this is, but it's some type of separate entity where they depend on I think year to year congressional funding, and the Democrats are holding it hostage. So, but what do you expect? What do you expect from Democrats, man? I try my best not to make everything political, but dude, come on, come on. Every walk of life got something to do with these damn buffoons. Whether it's when you go out to eat and you pay your taxes, the way your schools are funded, the way your roads are paved, um, basically everything is done through taxes. And a lot of people consider it theft. I don't. Well, property taxes I do consider theft because listen, you buy a house, that's yours. But honestly, it will never be yours because you got to pay property tax on it. If you don't pay that property tax, they're gonna come take it. So yeah, I do consider that theft. But when it comes to just basically paying your taxes, that goes all the way back to the Bible. So I don't consider all taxes theft, but there are some thievery in the tax system that over years they created this, they created that, and honestly, I don't know the logistics of who created what tax and when, but I do know this: I bet you it had something to do with Democrats because these people want to steal from you as much as they can. They want to enrich themselves. They want to enrich themselves. So we have to keep fighting and teach our young people the do's and the don'ts when it comes to that basic thing. Now, I made a podcast earlier, maybe last week sometime, on civics, and when you don't have when you have adults that don't understand civics, and I mean adults in their 30s, 40s, and 50s that don't understand civics and how the country works. Listen, civics starts, in my opinion, in your house. My mom, I saw her when I was a kid. I can't remember what day it was. It might have been a Monday, may have been a Friday. But we was watching all my children, and she took her bank book and she took all her bills and she was budgeting, and she wasn't good on money. I'm just gonna say it, but she managed the best she could. That taught me something. That taught me something big. A certain amount of money is coming in per week. You have to divvy it up. Pay this bill, pay this bill, pay this bill, pay this bill. Whatever's left over, you take care of this, you take care of that. And that's the way your house works. And the government is just a larger scale. But when you start stealing and on a smaller scale, how would you consider this compared to the federal government is stealing? Well, the federal government is funded through us, the people. Period. We fund our government. So when you have buffoons taking money and doing, what the hell, they found that they was giving money to other countries for their transitioning education, to transition boys to little girls and girls to little boys. That ain't what we pay our taxes for. No, we pay our taxes to fund our military, to fund our homeland, and things of that nature. Not to give to other countries for homosexual education and transitioning education. They were doing that. On a smaller scale, it's only two, maybe three individuals in that household that's funding that household. So let's just say you got a mama and daddy and you got an 18-year-old kid. He's got a little part-time job. So let's just say the mama, go to the kid. Okay, you done paid your fair share of this, and this. But I'm gonna need an extra $30 every month just for this or that. So the 18-year-old said, okay, I make pretty decent. I don't, I'm all right. Okay, I'll give it to you. And the mama's using that to buy her a pair of shoes, to buy her a pack of cigarettes, to buy this, to buy that. Totally unnecessary. She does not have to get this $30 from this kid. That on a smaller scale, that's what the federal government is doing. So they have a budget on how much, to take care of the military, to take care of these other agencies, how much it's going to take. And they get that money. And what's left over, instead of putting in a fund, a rainy day fund, or whatever type of fund, they give it to other countries for youth sexual education on transitioning and homosexuality. They give it to other countries to fund terrorism. Excuse me. So, I mean, does that make sense? And I know that was a terrible illustration or example about the mom and the kid, but still, she didn't have to get that extra $30 from this kid because it's totally unnecessary. If she want to buy her some shoes, let her go get a part-time job. If she want to buy cigarettes or whatever, let her go get a part-time job and not take his money that he's worked hard for, even though he's as a kid and he's living under their roof. That don't give her the right to take this little extra money to go buy her, lavish shit or lavish stuff. And I think on the federal level and even the state level, that's what a lot of government officials do, especially if they're Democratic, liberal. I try my best not to make everything political, but I give this advice to people that I talk to who are seeking knowledge or seeking advice. And listen, I'm not the most knowledgeable person in the world. I'm not. Don't claim to be. But I try to give a little bit of advice, where it's warranted. I try to gauge each and every individual I come across. I used to gauge them on their religious beliefs, not trying to, say, oh, well, you Muslim, get out of my face. I don't want to be around Muslims. No, not that. If an individual, I learned if I learned that an individual is a Christian, okay, makes me feel a little bit better about this person. If I learn that this person is a Jew or a Buddhist or a Muslim, okay, I understand where we stand between the two of us. We're going to respect each other and we're going to be kind to each other, even though we have different beliefs. If I find out this individual is a Satanist, devil worshiper, and into all that crazy crap, listen, if it's job related, I'm going to do my job, but I'm going to keep my distance. If it's non-job related, there's no existence between us, period. And what I mean by that, I stopped doing that when it comes to religion. Because listen, I've been around what they call them Wiccans, people who believe in witchcraft and all that stuff. Been around devil worshippers and never felt in fear. Now, I'm not gonna get too close to you because I don't want that I want them demons around me. But if I could preach to you a little bit, give you a little bit of knowledge, I will. I stopped doing the political thing. I'm sorry, I stopped doing the religious thing because you know what? You could go ride 30 minutes right up the road here to Atlanta, and you find a whole bunch of people that call themselves Christians. They don't even know what Christianity means. They just call themselves Christians. But I'm gonna tell you a quick and fast way to kind of feel a person. First of all, just their appearance. You can feel a person just by their appearance. But politically, you find out what political affiliation they are, that'll tell you everything you need to know. If they're Democrat, if they're liberal, they're godless, and you don't want to be around them. They're surrounded by demons. Period. And you can't tell me, well, you got some good Democrat. No. I'm going to tell you why. Case in point, individual I call a good friend for 30 some years. Consider themselves a liberal. So I asked him, so do you believe in the push to transition these children, babies, not grown men and women, but babies? No, I don't agree with it. So do you agree with this and this and this? Because the Democratic Party pushes it. So do you agree with it? No, I don't agree with it. So why you vote Democrat? Why do you support Democrats if you don't believe in nothing they push? Because they damn sure don't push nothing when it comes to the budget or that's the legislation that's going to benefit you and I. They don't. They push agendas, race-based agendas, sexual-based agendas. So if you don't agree with it, why you vote liberal? Why you vote Democrat? And that's my point. I could meet a Christian, Muslim, Jew, and a Buddhist, and that's going to tell me half of everything I need to know. Because if this Buddhist is worshiping a rock, okay, he's just ignorant and lost. But if he's voting Democrat, he's lost cause. If this individual votes Republican, okay, there's a chance that this person can be redeemed. Now, his religion may not change, but at least he's thinking about his household. He's thinking about his well-being, because you can't vote Democrat and think about your well-being or the well-being of your family. You just can't, because they don't push those agendas. Tell me the last time a Democrat pushed legislation for anything positive. And I'm gonna be honest with you. If you talk about the Green New Scam, that wasn't positive, but that's the last one that I can remember. The Green New Scam that, with thanks to President Trump, got rid of most of that garbage. And the adults walked in the room and kind of got everything back sort of kind of right. But listen, I'm gonna get up out of here, but I just want to remind you, in the last Democratic convention, I think it was in Chicago, they had transgender representation, gay homosexual representation, and I have nothing against gay people. I don't. But when you push it towards children, hell yeah, I'm against it. When you push transgenderism towards children, hell yeah, I'm against it. Because there ain't no grown man, a very few grown men is going to try to cut off they tallywhacker and live as a woman. They may try to live as a woman, but they ain't finna cut off the manhood. That ain't finna happen. But you can get them early as children, because they don't know no better. And then they'll regret it for the rest of their life and commit suicide and all this other crap. And I'm not going to say unalive, hell, if this video gets busted, I'm sorry. But yeah, they'll commit suicide because they have been transitioned as children, as babies, and they can't live a normal life. They had transitioning representation, homosexual representation, and abortion representation. Abortion clinic in front of the DNC National Convention. Think about that. If you call yourself a Christian and you agree with any of that, you're not a Christian. I'm sorry. It's not. You're not. Because all of that is evil and demonic. So that's why anybody who has that D or in front of their name, or they vote for a D, I have no respect for you. Not in Alaska, not in South Carolina, not in New York, not in Florida. I have no respect for you. You don't have to vote for that R, but you damn sure don't need to vote for that D. Period. Anyway, let me get up out of here, man. I appreciate you guys. I love you more than you ever know. And as we do it always, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, you guys be blessed, and I'll see you next time.